Get ready for the latest NFL info you need to know. NFL Insider starts now.
Hi, everyone. Welcome into another 30-minute edition to NFL Insiders with Adam Kaplan and Hall of Fame GM Bill Polian. I'm Susie Colbert. Today is a key date on the NFL calendar. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, here's the timeline that we're following today. 11:19 a.m. Eastern. This from Adam. The Jags and defensive tackle Avery Jones have agreed on a new deal.
Now that deal is done, Susie. The Jaguars will look to make a decision on some roster bonuses for Roy Miller and send Derek Marks. Those are due on March 13th.
11:31 a.m. Bleacher Report's Matt Miller reports, quote, "I'm told by NFL team sources that Ole Miss quarterback Chad Kelly was not invited to the NFL Combine based on off-field issues." Bill, what do you know about this?
As you know, I'm very close to the Kelly family. My information is that he was invited, and then the invitation was rescinded by the NFL office based on what they said was information contained in the public record, whatever that means.
But there's nothing as
new
far as
so
we
far
know.
as
There's
I know.
nothing new,
Nothing new.
And we've heard rules of domestic violence, these kind of things. Nothing like that is.
Not so far as I know.
Okay, we'll wait to hear more.
And the
about
family
that.
knows.
Okay, so now here's why today is so important. The window to franchise tag players officially opens today and concludes on March 1st. And just to refresh you, each team can apply the franchise or transition tag to a single unrestricted free agent to be, which entitles that player to a one-year deal worth the average salary of the top 5 players at his position or a 120% raise of his salary from the previous year, whichever is greater. There are 2 types of franchise tags. Exclusive prevents a player from negotiating a long-term deal with another team. Non-exclusive. Player has a right to negotiate with other teams, but the original team has the right to match any offer. If the team does not match, it receives 2 first-round picks as compensation. That doesn't happen very often. Bill, from the front office point of view, what are the positives and negatives of applying the franchise tag?
Well, the positives are that it gives you the rights to the player. You know that he's not going anywhere because it's the rare player that's going to command 2 ones. Secondly, from the agent's point of view, lots of times the agents want you to tag the player. They won't negotiate until you apply the tag because they want to use that as a floor on which to negotiate. Now, general managers don't acknowledge that that's the floor, but that's what negotiations are all about. It does simplify the process to a great degree because it narrows the band of compensation on which you're speaking. So, sometimes you can get a long-term deal done, sometimes you can't, but at least you know you're going to have the player.
I think when you look at using the franchise tag, you just touched on it a little bit, but I think what happens is the sense of urgency, once the players are tagged, then you don't see anything get done for 3, 4, 5 months. And that's why that July 15th deadline is. That is the deadline where teams can extend players' contracts off that franchise tag. After that, they've got to wait till the next season.
Bottom line, it protects franchises from losing their absolute best player, right, if you haven't gotten a deal done.
That's right. Originally, it was designed to make sure John Elway didn't leave Denver, Jim Kelly didn't leave Buffalo, Dan Marino didn't leave Miami.
All right, so here's who's in play now. A list of notable players who could be tagged. Redskins quarterback Kirk Cousins, who was tagged last season. Steelers running back Le'Veon Bell, who was second in the NFL in rushing yards per game last season. Super Bowl champ Dante Hightower, one of the best players on the Patriots defense. Former Patriot and now Cardinal Chandler Jones. And the Chiefs are going to have a tough decision to make, tagging Eric Berry for the second straight year or teammate Dontari Poe. Bill, the conversation certainly has to start with Kirk Cousins. Multiple reports suggest that not a lot is getting done here. How do you think this plays out?
Well, first of all, if you're Kirk Cousins and he gets tagged again and they don't make a long-term deal, he will have made $44 million in 2 years. So his heirs, thank you very much, Mr. Snyder. What do you got to lose in that situation? Beyond that, I think they would like to get a long-term deal done. But he is not Peyton Manning. He's not Tom Brady. He's not an elite quarterback. And so how do you structure a deal that puts that salary where he belongs? That's the conundrum they face.
The problem is, Bill, when you look at the numbers, you said $44 million. How do you justify giving any quarterback that's not Andrew Luck $44 million at signing? Now, I get that he's got to go year to year. Andrew at signing got 44. It's the same number. There was no middle ground last year talking to people close to the situation. This year, there's no middle ground. So how in the world do you find a number that's going to be reasonable enough for the team to accept it. But then when you look at the player, he goes, wait a minute. I could get over 3 years, $77 million. So why would he agree for anything less than $25 million a year?
Well, they can't tag him again next year to begin with. Secondly, free agency is not about value. It's about the marketplace. That's why the owners fought for over 50 years to keep it out of the game, and baseball for longer than that. So the bottom line is it's about the marketplace. He can now, his situation, Kirk's as a quarterback is, okay, I plan to tag this year. I got my $44 million. My family's set for life and beyond. Now, what's the market going to be for me a year from now? If I'm injured, if I have another mediocre year, et cetera, et cetera. Now, you could say it doesn't matter because he's already made his fortune, and that's probably right. But long-term security is worth something, so you'd hope that they can sit down and arrive at something meaningful. If they don't, nobody's really lost here, least of all Kirk Cousins.
But it matters in his head. When he started the season out last year, you could tell, just by the way he played. I mean, don't you just want to know that the franchise...
If my head were worried, I'd go look at the bank account. I'd quit worrying.
All right, let's talk about the Chiefs then. GM John Dorsey with a big decision to make. You have an all-pro safety. Mm-hmm. You have a two-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle. How do you decide which way to go there?
Well, I think when you look at these two situations, first of all, with Eric Berry, Susie, last year, the Chiefs were not even close to getting this deal done. I mean, in fact, I thought they would make a better effort. It didn't happen. Then you've got Dontari Poe, has been a great story. Both players were ironically drafted not by John Dorsey, but by Scott Pioli, the former general manager. But I think when you go forward here, these two players are some of the best on the team, but they only have one tag. And I think what's going to happen here is one way or the other, I think Dontari Poe is going to stay. When it comes down to Eric Berry, I would not say it's a lock that he stays.
What do you think, Bill?
Eric Berry is a presence in the locker room. He's an inspiration to the team. He's the ultimate chief in the sense that he represents all the right values, including beating cancer and coming back and playing. My guess is this is one where ownership says, look, we may go a little beyond what we originally planned to spend, and maybe there's some risk in terms of going forward and length of career, et cetera, because of the illness. But let's go do it because of what he represents, and then you can tag Poe.
Yeah, we've talked about it many times on this show. He is the ultimate inspirational force.
One of the best stories, really, in the history of the National Football League. What he's been able to do and accomplish, being a Pro Bowler again, simply amazing.
And a great player, by the way.
Absolutely, absolutely. So all of these things, crucial decisions happening now that shape a franchise. So how did it play out last year? Let's just review back what happened last year. There were 9 players who were initially given the franchise tag last year, which was equal to the previous 2 seasons combined. These 4 players ended up signing long-term deals headlined by Broncos pass rusher Von Miller, who signed a 6-year deal. The Jets' Muhammad Wilkerson and the Bills' Cordy Glenn each inked 5-year deals, and Ravens kicker Justin Tucker signed a 4-year contract. There were 4 other players who played under the franchise tag last year. Cousins, Berry, they had strong seasons. Alshon Jeffrey and Tremaine Johnson had subpar seasons. And additionally, Josh Norman had his franchise tag rescinded by Carolina, signed with Washington, and Olivier Vernon had his transition tag pulled by Miami and signed with the Giants. And as always, it is our good fortune to tap into the knowledge. Mel Kiper Jr. with Mock Draft 2.0 and Texas A&M defensive end Myles Garrett, solid there at the top, projected by Mel to go to the Browns with the #1 overall pick. All right, Mel, that was easy. But yeah. Then what after that? All right, let's look at the hot spot there at #2 and talk quarterbacks. And for all of us who are just now kind of easing into the talent that is represented in this class, all I heard since last year's draft was this quarterback crop is kind of light on talent. So why do you have him placed at #2?
Well, it's a crazy year, Suze, because the quarterback that I have at 2 didn't even start the season on anybody's boards because he hadn't been a starter. His body of work this year, though, was excellent. Outside of that Stanford bowl game, and remember, Derek Carr didn't have a very good bowl game either. It was unimpressive, and some people knocked him for that. Neither did Trubisky, but he only has that 1 year as a starter. Deshaun Watson, beginning of the year, mid-season, looked like a 2nd or 3rd round pick. Not a top 5, top 10 pick, but a 2nd pick overall. Some inaccurate throws, bad decisions. He got hot late. In that Final Four, he was spectacular. So it's been one of those years where quarterbacks get forced up. Vince Young did. Had the big game against USC. He catapults to the 3rd pick to Tennessee. So it happens time and time again where quarterbacks are pushed way up the board And in this case, Trubisky and Watson will benefit from the need for young quarterbacks.
Because in Todd's 2.0, he had Watson there. Would you expect that the two of you would probably be arguing this throughout the process along with everybody else?
I don't know about arguing. Right now, it's just a gut feel on what Kyle Shanahan may look at. And with Mitch Trubisky, and I said this all year, had he gone back, and I really thought he should have, but if you're going second, I guess you can't argue with it. But had he gone back to North Carolina, Susan, had another great year, and had that 2 seasons of body of work, okay, then he would have been in lock, stock, and barrel, in my opinion, a number 1 pick overall. But we can't talk about him like that. And Bill brings up the fact that, hey, just that 1 year. And that whole Bill Parcells philosophy, you need more experience in college to equate and translate to a big-time NFL quarterback. Will Trubisky be the second pick? If he's not the second pick, Suze, he's going to go somewhere in the top 10. So, yeah, he's going to be up there. And he's going to certainly be in the discussion for Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers.
All right, we know you're feeling about running backs in the first round. Obviously, this is a whole different beast here. You're projecting what teams will do. Right. And you have 3 running backs going in the first round, starting with Leonard Fournette out of LSU. Why so many running backs?
I wouldn't take any of them, Suze. 11 of the 12 teams in the playoffs didn't have a first-round running back. Only one did was the Cowboys with Zeke Elliott. The Super Bowl team's nowhere close to a first-round running back. But in the case of Leonard Fournette, number 1 out of high school, really good career. When he was healthy, he was a great back. Was he Adrian Peterson? No. Is he going to be Zeke Elliott? Probably not. Will he be a top 10 pick? Yes. Right on his heels is Dalvin Cook, who's the game breaker supreme. I think, Suze, he's Jamal Charles, and I think that's the way he'll translate into the NFL. Then you got the versatile all-purpose dynamo in Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey right now is going to Green Bay, I think, in the projection in terms of where I'm mocking him right now. He's rated on the big board at 16. Could he move up? I think he'll have a great workout. He'll test well. Great character, tremendous versatility. Christian McCaffrey, I think it will solidify a first-round grade as we move further along in the process.
Yes, further along in the process. It's going to be fun to watch. Mel, we'll look for more coming up on NFL Live. Okay, guys, as I turn to you, the last time there were 3 running backs who went in the first round was 2012, so a bit of a throwback kind of year. So everybody is naturally going to want to compare Ezekiel Elliott, who had such an unbelievable season, with the top running back this year, Leonard Fournette. Bill, how do you draw a comparison?
I don't. Leonard Fournette is a downhill, straight line, Murray kind of running back. Powerful, can run through tackles, can make one guy miss, but basically a downhill, straight line runner. Zeke was much more, had much more shake and bake in him. That's not to say that Leonard Fournette's not a good back. You worry a little bit about longevity with a back like Leonard Fournette, and he's already been injured in college because he does take hits.
And I would say with Trubisky, that was the name that stuck out to me. At
my
number
head's gonna blow off.
We don't want that. Please don't let that happen.
It's too early.
I think with Trubisky, he's going in the top 10 or top 15. I would agree with Mel here. Listen, I get it. He's only had 1 year of starting.
Can we commit that this is now the NBA with these quarterbacks?
It's too early. I get it. He should have come back to school. I get that. But you've got to be patient with this player. 1 year of starting is not enough.
How can you be? You don't even know what you're getting.
Well, if you're drafting him, you got to be.
Year.
You wouldn't play him in year 1. You would sit him, would you not?
I don't even know what they've got.
So 1 year is not enough. Is what
1 year is not enough. Absolutely not. Not in the top 10, for goodness sake.
Carson Wentz only had a year and a half.
Number 2, you're passing a defensive difference maker to take him.
So I don't say no way.
I do not buy it. I'm sorry to be the buzzkill Bill, but
no, this
we
is
love
why
that
we love
guy.
you, Bill. What else? I know this is.
I got
big.
one more for you.
Okay.
Reuben Foster, number 9. Now, Reuben Foster, as we reported earlier this week, had rotator cuff surgery. That's not the problem here. Talking to the Bengals over the last 6 months, they really like Nick Vigil, who's a linebacker they drafted last year, and Vontaze Burfict maybe wind up going to a middle linebacker. That would take Foster out of the ranks at number 9. But Foster, he's the best linebacker talking to teams in this draft, no question.
What else, Bill? What jumps out?
2 difference makers right here. Solomon Thomas, defensive end, Stanford, and Dalvin Cook, running back, Florida State. Difference makers.
Why?
Well, for athletic ability, for one thing, explosion. In Dalvin Cook's case, game-breaking speed, shake and bake, the ability to make you miss, the ability to catch the ball, and a decent enough blocker for a guy his size. Solomon Thomas is a sack machine. Ask Mitch Trubisky, chased them all over the park on New Year's Day.
That was an amazing game he had. I think that raised his level. We're talking about Solomon Thomas of Stanford to the top 10. I think he actually goes higher than that.
We really appreciate the passion so early in the process.
We got him going.
Great.
You love that.
That was great. Yeah, it is. It's so early. Think of all the things that still have to happen. The combine, right? Days,
workouts,
private workouts, visits.
Measurables.
There's so many pieces to the puzzle. We're just getting started. You're on Insiders Inside the Headlines. From NFL.com, the headline reads, Cardinals president John Brown very healthy now. Bill, how important is it for the Cardinals to get a healthy Brown back?
It's really important because he is darn close to a game breaker when he's healthy. He has the sickle cell trait. Hopefully he can beat it. If he can, he'll step in and they'll give them two very solid receivers. But Larry's coming toward the end. Floyd is gone. They're going to have to add receivers either in free agency or in the draft, maybe both. But a healthy John Brown would go a long, long way to helping them be a playoff team again.
From the Seattle Times, the headline reads, NFL issues Seahawks warning, but no other penalty for Richard Sherman's situation. Adam, what more can you tell us?
Yeah, I think with this situation with the Seahawks, from a league source, says that the Seahawks actually had misunderstanding of the rule. But if it's a significant or noteworthy injury, you've got to list it. And Richard Sherman did not miss any time. So I think the Seahawks, the league feels misinterpreted. But guess what? If this happens again, they're going to get nailed for a violation. They just got a slap on the wrist. This
is a nitpicky offense that really doesn't deserve a lot of consideration here. No harm, no foul. They're on notice. Exactly. I hate to use that phrase, but they're on notice nonetheless. And next time, they'll get a penalty. But in this case, don't worry about it.
Didn't miss any time and showed up at the Pro Bowl, too.
He did. He did everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam Schefter will be part of that crossover tonight. I guess fulfilling a dream for Adam. It's his first gig as a sideline reporter for NBA basketball for his Knicks. So it got us thinking that if we had to come up with a dream profession outside of what we already do, because it's pretty good. You know what? It's almost kind of silly for Hall of Fame general manager Bill Polian to have a dream profession. But if there was something else besides the incredible accomplishments, Bill, what would it be?
Well, I think it would be in my boyhood home of the Bronx, New York, in the house that Ruth built.
Whoa!
Hey, wait a minute.
I am with Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth. And I think if I had another choice other than the great career that I've been blessed with, I would be with Joe Girardi bringing in Aroldis Chapman to close the game out.
You look pretty good in the pinstripes. What about you, Adam?
Dream come true.
Well, as a diehard Philadelphia 76ers fan, I am sick and tired of the process. Let's move on. Yes, they've improved. How about giving me the job of GM just for one day? I would love it. Look at that check coat. I wouldn't wear what. Is it? Have I ever worn something like that?
It's a good-looking coat.
Yeah, it's up there. Thank you.
It's an Al McGuire coat.
It's a little bright. But anyway, I would trade Jahlil Okafor today. Got to move on. Got to get better. But at least they're improving. They're fun to watch this season. How about one day? Just let me be the GM for one day.
And I'm just going to go back to when I was a little kid.
Look there.
Okay, I'm just going to go back.
My stylist.
I'm a little kid, and I always loved the NFL. So, grew up in Philadelphia. Why not? Why not be an NFL quarterback?
That's awesome. That's awesome. Are you a righty?
I am a righty.
Nice.
Yeah, it fits.
Looks like there's a slight difference between your hands there, isn't there?
What's up with the right arm and the left?
We're not.
The incredible honk.
There is more to me, Queen Eliara of Elfgard, than my elven magic. Just as there's more to Geico than saving you money, Geico also gives you 24/7 access to licensed agents online, on the phone, or on the Geico app. And while I am a mighty elf queen, I am also a mighty big fan of barbecue potato chips. Minions! More smoky mesquite.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.